Right, this one here is a course on database management systems, something that I gained last month, data science statistics, I scroll down. And it consists of 8 modules, and it's largely about SQL, which is different from stuff that I do. Python, all programming languages in some way will have an interaction with databases. And when they do, you can use the language ability, but the reality is that structured query language, what SQL stands for, is way more efficient. So this particular module consists or this particular course consists of 8 modules. I'm just going to run through them, and then I'll probably go through separately one by one. So this is kind of like an overview of the course. So let's just have a look at what's actually in it. Content, I might zoom in a tiny bit more. But the first module, module one, is an introduction to database management system, and then we get an introduction to RDSPS, which is Relational Database Management System. A lot of acronyms, well, not a lot, probably about 20 or 30 acronyms that one will go through and will like debunk what they mean. So one of the things that we'll ask ourselves is, what does this acronym on BMS relate to? So what do those words actually mean anyway? Then we're going to look at an introduction to MySQL. So again, something that like another acronym or mashed up words in some way. SQL stands for Structured Query Language. People refer to it as SQL. There's things like SQL Server, SQL, and MySQL, and Microsoft SQL, and so forth. There's all different variants of it. Again, we'll talk about flavors, but all of these things are talking about something either identical or very similar to each other. Then after that, we will go through and do an installation of MySQL, and I've got some screen capture images of how that's actually done, because the class struggles, because some people are on different operating systems and so forth. But the reality is installing it is actually relatively simple. And I've gone further than that. I don't just install MySQL, but Python offers something called SQLite, which is a nice cute version of SQL, and a much lighter version. And I've got 2 different versions of that. I might contrast them as different. That's module one. Now, module two, an arrow, is an introduction to database design. And this is actually quite important to get that wrong in the beginning, then the structure of everything doesn't work. Next, we look at an introduction to tables. Database is basically made of tables, a whole bunch of tables. And then we're going to look at an introduction to SQL statements, structured query language, and ETL statements, data definition language. So again, for acronyms, reality is that what I actually thought was data, what I actually thought was SQL was actually partly data. Well, but they're all talking about the same thing. Then we will move on after module 3, and that's talking about the MySQL workbench. And then we look at the data server. Then we look at MySQL and our concept. So what is RDS, basically database management system? What does it mean? It's kind of like backtracking on the first thing. We have talked about it twice at that point. Then again, a couple more acronyms, an introduction to ETL statement, and ML statement, data management statement, and then an introduction to control. So there's all these different types of these these different variants, or like subsets, should I say, of SQL, all of these acronyms. But we'll debunk them and see what they actually all mean. After that, we go to module 4 and we look at MySQL users, selecting users, user privileges, and changing user passwords. This section here is more about administration. After that, we go to module 5, creating databases, creating tables. We've already talked about tables, talked about databases. Now this is more like in action. Let's actually do it. Don't have to create a database, don't have to create a table. Then we look at the MySQL data type. What can we actually put in the table? In the Python course, stuff that I've done with Python, all the other programming languages, have things like Ruby, SQL has very similar version of them. And also SQLite, by the way, has something very similar to SQL that's kind of like Translate, but a nice and easier version. And then we have MySQL clauses, the things that we can do. So things like the where and or the by clause, so we can search the data in a very efficient way, and that's SQL. These are now the benefits of SQL once we built up tables from the effort of doing this. We can start to get efficient SQL and receiving data from single tables, which is something that I commonly do at work, nearly like as routine. Data now has become very big, and the collection and how that's very well. So that's module 5. Then we will move on to module 6, and that's about constraints, which is constraints for the database, indices, and the select statement. So again, more about basically constraints for the table, but more about what we can do and how we can organize our tables to gain even a further level of efficiency, which takes us again ahead of programming languages. And one of the things that I kind of like allude to, or maybe talk about when I do this, we can do a lot of the processing on the actual database before we send data. And if I was just to like, here's our database here, and kind of like our process user, our user process here, we might send a query. So we're going to ask a question here about this chunk of data, like this chunk of data. But we want to query this data and filter it down to something much smaller. And if we do our SQL, get our small out here, then the return state can be a much smaller item, so we don't have to track big data. The other thing is database is open that file. But if we can do the SQL in the database itself, more simply as that, we've now gained a huge level of efficiency. Apart from the fact that it's designed to do it first, so we don't have to sort of like fall into this data in our coding language on a big data set. Apart from the fact that it still does it, we also gain the efficiency of a low package data, small package data, a high package of data. So anyway, we continue on with module 7, which is the group by statement join. And there's multiple different types of joins, inner joins, outer joins, and so forth. Create use aggregate functions. And again, this starts to become really powerful. At the point that you're 7, you're already what might be a power user. You know, a join, just in simple terms, is things like set. Imagine that we've got a table over here, or one table over here, and we've got another table over here. We might want to find where the overlap is, and like already kind of like in the image, and you might have seen this at low level maths, like when we've done set, like group theory and stuff. But this is join part set bit that we might be interested in. So we can have inner joins, we can also have like left joins, right joins, ways, we can also find where they don't join. We can create bunches of different things. and it doesn't have to be just 2 tables. We can introduce multiple tables. So there's all kinds of constructs that we can build before we get tiny data sets to the table. And again, my package out very data set. So that's partly what this section will be about and how we can use it. And then we're going to move on to the last section, which is module 8, subqueries. So they're queries that go inside of queries, and they're part of they're an enhancement, let's say, of module 7. When we've got like queries that become a bit more complicated, so we use it like it helps break them up into subqueries and just not more powerful game. And all of a sudden, SQL becomes a tremendously powerful language. So that's what we'll put together more later. And then finally, we have talked the whole time pretty much. Well, we're going to look at something called the ETL process, extraction, transform, loading process. I'd like to know how we get everything to the database in the first place, because we've got a whole bunch of like bifurcated data in the world, different data sources, the cloud, things that we collect, and so forth. In some ways, we want to go and get this data, this world of data. We want to go and get and collate it, like nice tables like that, and we might have relations between our tables in some way. So we want to do something like this, and this is extract and transform and load in process in some way, getting our world cloud data, cloud data, world a camera, maybe trading data, maybe shopping data or something else, but how we get that and transform data. So do that, and also how we migrate the data to grow out. And finally, although we don't actually do this, so we're going to always use the SQL structured query language. There's actually two types of database structured query language. So structured data, and then we've got rich data, which we might call unstructured data, and that then helps us know well which in coding terms is more equivalent to a hash or a JSON file. The best way to describe it, where our data much improve level, so making more format, so something like table rather than tab format. And that will be that's basically what the course is about. So hopefully you guys what's going to be done. I'll probably set this up as a different channel on the phone of those modules 21.1. And if you want to follow, hit the follow button, I guess, next one, and the like button as well. And even if you don't want to follow or don't want to like it and follow it anyway, I'm telling you to do that. And that's basically what we're going to be doing, or what we're going to look at